Hi, welcome to the Chapter 2 Microlecture, Business Process, Information, and Information Systems. When we look at a business process is really a network of activities or processes that occur. It has inputs. I don't want to do this. Keep the color scheme. It has inputs, which could be resources, could be facilities, and it also has information. And information can come inbound, and then information can also go outbound and sometimes feed another business process. And the entire design of this is to work together and create some kind of business function. So let's take a look at the components of a business process. The first thing we've got is activities. Activities is the verb. It's going to transform resources. It's going to make something into something else. And then we've got resources. So these are going to be things such as customers and suppliers. It could be employees. If you've ever felt like a number, well, here you can feel like a resource. But you're an item of value. Facilities are structures used within the resources. So it could be the facility like the building. It can also be machinery, and it could be inventories, especially if you've got raw materials and other things. That could be part of your facility sort of cost and your facility work in the process. And then we've got information. Please don't show me that message again. Activities use information, and they're going to transform those inputs into outputs. So let's dig into them a little bit deeper. When we look at activities, there's going to be rules and procedures. So often in MIS, people talk about following the business rules, following procedures. And this is what you're going to be doing. You're going to say, hey, we've got a new employee coming in, and there's a bunch of things that we do, a bunch of processes and procedures and rules around a new employee. Maybe they need an ID card. Maybe they need to take a test to make sure they know how to use a computer. Maybe they need to have a security code. Well, those are a bunch of rules and procedures that must be followed. And combined, that's a set of activities. We've got resources. It can be external to the organization, so it's going to be customers, suppliers, consultants, anything that's really going to help the organization move forward. So if you come from the project management standpoint, everything that you commit is a resource. Every person you commit is a resource. And if you want to make a project work faster, then you usually have to add more resources. So you add more consultants, more supplies, more time into there. As we said, facilities can be structures or places where things are produced and stored. Maybe if you're in the airplane industry, it could be a hangar. It could be an assembly plant. It could also be all of the inventory you've got of engines and parts and other things. It can also be your equipment. Certainly equipment in an assembly line, robotic arms and other things. Those are high value things in your facility, and that gives your facility value. Come on, computer. So let's look at information, and we're going to break this apart. But if you look at the bottom, information is really data with a process turning into information and then turning into knowledge. And information is going to be, as they say, the difference that makes a difference. It's going to be what makes or breaks your company. So let's dig a little deeper. What really makes information good information? We always joke about, well, there's just bad data. So when we want to look at good data, there's a couple of things. The first thing is it's got to be accurate. If you give your boss or the CEO or the board a report that's inaccurate, not only is that not going to look good on you, not only is that going to be, they won't be able to make decisions based on that report, but they're not going to trust future reports either from you or for that system. So accuracy is really important. Timely is also very important. It's great if you've got data about, what the trends are going to be for Christmas shopping and when you need to have the inventory and everybody wants to shop. But it's not good if you have that data in February. You need to have that data in November so that people can staff appropriately and get the right inventories. Everything's got to be relevant to context and subject. So you've got to make sure that you're just talking about what someone wants to know and that you're providing them enough context to make a decision. Remember, all the information is doing is trying to help someone make a good decision. And on that note, generally we want it to be just barely sufficient. We want to, and it sounds funny, but we want to give people just enough data to make the decision that they need to make. One time we used to get web reporting reports called web trends, And the report would be 50 pages long, and every page had a chart, a graph, or something like that. And it was so dense that no one bothered reading it. They'd skim through the first pages, they'd put it on their thing, I'll read it later, and they never got to it. So it's important that you give people just the data that they want and just the question that they're trying to answer, and that way they won't get sort of mired in the data. And then also make sure this is worth its cost. If it's going to cost you $10,000 to create this report, make sure that you're getting more than $10,000 worth of strategic value out of that report. If the report's going to cost you $1 million to create because you need some data warehouse or data mart, make sure that you are going to get more than $1 million worth of value on that. So we look at the role of information. This is what we really want to do, is give context to data. Take all these shopping trends and patterns and other things and bring all those clicks from an Amazon kind of site together and then say, hey, what should our inventories be? When do people start shopping for Christmas? When should we have enough boxes on hand? When should we increase the number of deliveries that we make outbound? We want to take all these single clicks of data and we want to turn that into a report that aggregates some future trend. Basically turning low-level information, individual purchasing habits, into high-level information. What do people who buy a TV often do? Well, often they need a power strip and they need some cables and they need some other things. Well, look at an Amazon and said, hey, we mined that data for the million people that bought large screen LCD TVs from us, and we found out that 80% of them want to buy these other cables. Well, every time you add a large screen TV to your cart, boom, the next 5 things you're going to see are customers who bought this often buy this other thing. Here's some other things. And that wasn't done just based on one user. That's done based on lots of users, and it's constantly changing. So how does information systems support business process? Basically, sometimes multiple activities are going to use one IT system, okay? And sometimes activities have their own specific IT system. But in most of the time, many use multiple information systems. And a quick example might be a student system like the one at Central and a student financial aid system. They're both independent. One student, the student system, tracks when you said, I wanted to go to Central, you were an applicant, it matriculated you to the college and keeps your grades as a student, and then after you graduate, it's going to convert you into an alumni and they'll ask you for money. Now there's a separate system that handles financial aid. So if you're a financial aid student and you go to register for a class, you don't pay for it, you wait for your aid to come. Well, it's important for us to look at the data on both of those systems as Central is creating classes for students to register into, because you want to make sure that you have enough open seats for the students that are going to be getting financial aid but haven't yet gotten it. So if you have 1,000 students that are about to get aid, you want to make sure you've got about 1,000 openings for them to move into. That's it.